Okay, guys. So in last video, we create square of time versus displacement graph from the data, and so that's a linear graph, and we would like to have some in-depth analysis on that square of time versus displacement graph. So what we're going to do is to create two more lines on the graph, and the final graph will be look like this one. So this one I put on OneNote. So you can see from this graph, the red line is the mean linear graph. Then we get the error bars on all the points, and then you have two extra lines which are called maximum slope line and the minimum slope line. And both lines can be found by using the points on the error bars. Okay, so sorry, not on the error bars, but using the points related to the error bars. Okay, so I'm going to show you how can we get these two lines. First of all, you need to understand the standard of creating the maximum slope and the minimum slope. All right, so I'll show you this picture here. So this picture, so that's the graph we've just seen, and you see there are two lines right here. Okay, and on these two lines, how can we create them? Right, so you need to look at the first point and the last point. Remember, you have to look at the first point and the last point. And on each point, you have some error bar. And so you are going to draw some little rectangle on the bars. Okay, so I can draw that rectangle. See? All right, let me change the setting a little bit. So if I draw that rectangle, you see the center rectangle is on the points, and okay, and the length of the rectangles of the rectangle just equals the length of horizontal bar, and the width just equals the length of the vertical bar. All right. Okay. Then how can we get the line with maximum slope? All right. Then you need to go to create another rectangle here. So then you have two rectangles. Okay. To create the line with maximum slope, you need to get the first points from the right hand lower corner of the first triangle the first rectangle. So you need to get this point, and the other point is on the second triangle, the second rectangle, and that point must be on the left hand top corner. Okay, so remember, it's the first point is on the right hand lower corner of the first rectangle. The second point is on the left hand top corner of the second rectangle. And if you connect the 2 points, then that will be your line with maximum slope. Okay, and how about the line of minimum slope? You just use the other 2 points. The first point need to be the left hand top corner, and the second point should be the right hand lower corner of the second rectangle. Okay, then you connect them, then you will have the line with minimum slope. So that's not very difficult to understand. For the maximum slope, you try to get the steepest line possible, but that line must be within the error bars. All right, so that's why you use the lower left corner, right corner, and the top left corner of the second rectangle to create that line. In that way, the line would be the steepest. Okay, on the other hand, if you use another two corners, you will create the line with possibly the minimum slope. Okay, so that's how can we create the two extra lines. So let's think about the numbers. Okay, let's focus on the first point here. So let's say this is the first point. We don't know the number, so let's say this is let me put x1, y1. Okay, let's think about the area, the length of the area bar. So let's say the length of area bar here is delta y1 for the vertical one, and this is the delta x1. Sorry, it's a bit difficult to see, isn't it? Okay, it's delta y1 and delta x1. So how can we express these points? I mean the pink, the points in the pink dots. So that should be x1. Oh, it's difficult to see. I use red. x1. So that's on the right hand side. So plus the delta x1. That means you plus the uncertainty of x measurement. And for the y coordinate should be y1 minus delta y1. And that's it. And how about the other one? That should be x1 Okay, so I think you can see the 2 points. One is x1 plus delta x1, y1 minus delta y1. The other one is quite opposite. Okay, so let's go to the upper points. Right, here is the last point. So I would say this is x2. Let me use another color. Okay, so this is x2, y2. Okay, again, I'm going to say that's our delta y, that's a delta x, just like what we did here. Okay, let's say this is delta y2, delta x2. Sorry for it's a bit blurry here. So how about the points here? So it need to be x2 plus delta x2 and y2 minus delta y2, right? Because it's lower than the middle. And the other point is x2 minus delta x2 and y2 plus delta y2. All right. Okay, so now we know what are the points we need to put in. So let's go back to our main graph here. For this graph, oh sorry, first it's very hard to see the data. Of course, you can find the data from the points here, from the values here. But that's one way you can show the data. Okay, you can go to the chart elements and you go to the data label. All right, so see if you click, it will show you the Y value. But you want to see the X value as well. So you can go to the right, so it's easier to see the points. And you go to more options. In more options, you will see the label options. Then you can see there are X value, Y value, etc. So you put X value as well. So then you have X value and Y value as well. Okay, and so these are all the data points with values. So then we are ready to find the corresponding values necessary for us to find the two extra line. Okay, so let me put my graph here. Okay, so you can see the data point here. Okay, the horizontal error bar is very, very small because, you know, for 0.2, actually we know the delta x here, that means the error bar here is only, well, that x is actually s, so let's say it's s, all right, so it's s. So the delta s here is only 0.002, so that's why it's very hard to see. Okay, but we can still use the idea right here, so that we can still draw a bit like a rectangle here. All right, so let's try to draw a rectangle. That's very hard to see, okay, because the delta s is really small. All right, so let's see how can we get the lower corner points. So it's here, the lower corner points, and that point should be 0.2 plus that 0.002. And how about the y value? That should be 0.49 minus, okay, what value should be here? It should be the delta t squared. So what's that delta t squared? So remember, we've done a AUM for each data, and each data is different. For each data point is different. So remember the AUM here. So for the first point, when average t squared is 0.49, the AUM is 0.08. So we know that one should be minus 0.08 here. Okay, and how about the other point here? We need that point as well. Okay, so for this point, it should be 0.2 minus 0.02, and the y value 0.49 plus 0.08. Okay, then you will get the 2 points. And let's have a look on the last one. Okay, so the last one looks a bit better because the error bar is a bit longer. So let's try to draw a rectangle here. It's not ideal because, you know, the width is so small. It's very hard to draw. Okay, and you still need to find the 2 points, right? What are the 2 points? Do you remember? The 2 points should be, one is on the lower right hand corner, the other is on the left hand top corner. Okay, so that one. All right, so because I use green here, so I better go green right here. And also I go orange here. So the green in this case will be the line with maximum slope. All right. So where is this point? All right. So remember the S value is 1. So the delta S is always, in that case, 0.02. But in our experiments, we've got the error for displacement 0.002. So that's what you are going to do. You have 1 plus 0.02 for the X value here. And how about the Y value here? Then that will, you need to go with, okay, not enough space. Sorry, it's very difficult to do it. Sorry, it's hard to see, I know. That should be 3.30. Take away, all right, the uncertainty in Y for that data. So let's go back to our Excel. So you see, for the last point, which is average values, 3.30, and the AUM 0.18. So then you need to go with 0.18 here. All right. And how about that 2 points? So the 2 points here is 1 minus 0.002, and this one is 3.30 plus 0.18. Oh, it's terrible to see. It's very hard to see. Sorry. I changed the software. Okay, anyway, the idea is like that. I hope you can see it. All right, so let's go back to the Excel. So I'm going to create 2 lines for maximum slope and the minimum slope. All right, for the maximum slope and for first point, right, so I'm going to, all right, so I'm going to use equation. So equals my first displacement, and remember that, then you need to, because that's for the maximum slope, so you need to do what? You need to plus the uncertainty, which is 0.02 for S. Okay, so then you have that value. For t-square value, you need to go with AUM, but this time you need to do the takeaway of, oh sorry, I got it wrong. You should go with average value here, do the takeaway of AUM. That's the uncertainty, right? And you go with the last point. The last point here. And for the last point, remember that should be, this time you need to take away 0.002. And for the t-square value, you need to go with that value. So this time you need to go up, so plus AUM there. Right, so that's 3.48. So these are for maximum slope. So I'm going to do the minimum slope as well. So for the minimum slope, I'm going to use that displacement. But this time I'm going to take away 0.002. And for that one, I'm going to go with this average value. But then I need to go with take away. All right. So every time you just go opposite to the maximum slope, okay, for minimum slope, then you'll get the formula. right? And for this one, I'm going to go with that one. So for the maximum slope, you take away 0.002. So this time you plus 0.002, and for that one, oh, sorry, something's wrong, I think. Okay, I think something's wrong. So I should use this value and take away that value, right? Okay, so next you've got the points. So how can we create the extra line? And all you need to do is to right click. So remember, right click your mouse, then you see select data. So it's a series 1. Series 1 is the one currently used. So you want to change the name of series 1, which is the main. All right. Then you need to add. Add means you add another series. The series name is maximum slope. Okay. And how can you get the series X value? X value is on S. So you just need to select that S cell for the maximum slope. So remember that's for maximum slope. And for Y value, you just go with T square value. All right. Then you've got the maximum slope. And let's try to see what happens if I try to get the line on maximum slope. Okay, so right now, if you look closer, you see that orange dots there. So these orange dots are just the 2 points for the maximum slope. So they looks good. They looks like it's one lower, one higher, right? So what I'm going to do is try to get the trend line. So, oh, sorry, first I need to click the points, the orange point. So then it becomes the series 2. And you go with the trend line. So you see when you click that, that's a trend line. So we go to the more options, right? And so we use linear and we use display equation on that. Okay, and so that's the main one. So right now, this one is the orange one. The orange is the maximum slope. Okay, so of course you would like to change, you would like to change the letters because y is t square in this setting, and that's s. And you might change the color as well, so make it so it's corresponding to the maximum slope. So we've got the maximum slope line, and also you see the slope, which is 3.585, which is bigger than the slope for the mean. Let me change that as well, so make it easier to look at. So that's for the mean. Right, so the next I'm going to create the minimum slope. Okay, I'm going to use this data to create the minimum slope. So still remember how can we do it? First, you need to right click on the graph and you select data. So right now there are 2 series and you need to add your third series. So the series name is minimum slope, and the x value is here. All right, so remember that's the minimum slope value. For the y value, you select t square value. Okay, then you press OK. So you got, oh, I need to be more consistent on the names. Should be, oops, oh, sorry. Let me re-edit again. Minimum slope. Oh, good. And all right, so you see 2 points. You should see 2 points. Okay, right now the points are in um, green color. Okay, you can change the color if you want. Okay, but let me try to find the trend line. Okay, for so the trend line should be linear, and I'm going to display equation, and also I try to change the color as well. I use green color. Would that be easier to see? Also, I change kind of dots. Yep, so that's another one. All right, so that's for the green one. Okay, again, I would like to change. Okay, so this color doesn't look right. Okay, this one. So right now, you get the two lines, two extra lines, which are maximum slope and minimum slope. Okay, so if you want to show it better in your assignment, you can do the legend. Legend, that means you see they will show you what each line means. Okay, all right. So let me extend it a little bit. Okay, seems that looks better. All right. So I think that's how can we get the slope, get a two extra line, maximum slope and minimum slope as well. All right. Okay. Thanks for watching. So if you still have any question, you can come to see me, and I'm more than happy to help because I know it's difficult for you guys to do it initially, but I think that's a very good technique for you to use in Excel to get high mark in your future assignment, not just for this one. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in class.